Shalom, family. Thank you for joining me. This is Peter Michael Martinez, and hope you're ready to be strong and courageous because this world is changing fast. And we are watching. We're watching the separation of the wheat and the tare. That's the bottom line. What you're going to continue to see is greater chasm. We talked about that in 2015. If some of you that have been with us for a while will remember, we talked about the reality that the chasm would only grow. There is no way to mitigate that. There's no way to fix it, saints. And that's one of the challenges that we all face, because it's like this long goodbye and it's difficult and it's hard on our hearts, but it is a reality. And that's something that we're having to deal with. The costs of materials, I'm here at one of our suppliers, and the cost of materials are going up 4 times. Not double, 4 times in some cases in a matter of a week. I have no idea where this trajectory ends. I know that it is a time to take advantage of opportunities when they present themselves. I know that. And so those of you that have been still on the fence on, helping out with some of the projects that we've got going on, I would really strongly encourage you to seriously pray, because again, the value and the power of this fiat system is dwindling quickly. It's having to compete with a gold-backed system, folks, and that does not bode well, which is why we're seeing our material costs are going up. There's nothing we can do about that. We can't manufacture wood and manufacture cement and pipe. We have to buy those things, and that is a reality that we're all going to have to deal with. And saints, if that makes sense to you, then we need to work together to start putting together communities. And I mean, there need to be communities everywhere. I'm talking by the thousands. This is a serious moment, and the more we think, well, let's see what happens over here, the more time we give them to set their noose around everyone else, because that's the only way they know how to operate. And I feel the King is really giving us this pathway to be a blessing, and it's up to us to seize that opportunity. And so I know I'm all in. I'm going to do everything I can. I'm just grateful for every one of you that pray and participate. If you were thinking about getting involved with the shekel to pick up, cabin space or cottage space or anything like that, those prices aren't going to stay there at all. I've got to actually, when I get, maybe a day or two after you see this broadcast, maybe I'll be able to hold on to those numbers, and after that, they have to go way up, because we're recalculating the cost of all the lumber and all of the components. And so it is what it is. I'm going to do the best I can. We're trying to find alternatives. That Yahuwah is giving us amazing alternatives, and we're doing everything we can to mitigate these costs. So I'm going to do the best that I can, but I need your help. If you're on the fence, please don't wait, because your dollar's value is dropping. So if it costs more to buy materials, that's real world. If it's costing more to buy food, real world. If it's costing more to buy everything, real world, what does that say the value of your dollar is doing? It's plummeting, and it doesn't bode well for the future. So the faster we get moving, the better. That being said, I understand that there's got to be different places all over. So that's one of the reasons why we called for captains. We continue to call for captains, people of good report, men of good report, if you will, that have that oversight anointing and can be a captain on a location in various places by the thousands. Saints, this isn't a joke. That's how many captains you need, and how many communities there will be emerging out of all of this, because there's too many that are on that same page saying, we're done. We've seen enough. We see what you do. These people that worked their whole lives, saved all their lives. You wiped out as many of them as you could. And what you didn't wipe out, you're going to steal by this artificial blubbery called this fiat currency that's going to basically wipe out all the wealth. And this has been the plan from the beginning. So we've known this. We knew it was coming. Nobody knows when. Nobody knows how fast. But when you're seeing things continuing to just creep up there, that's just saying your dollar's value is dropping. And this is all telltale signs of all the pain and suffering that's on its way. Remember that we're heading into famine years. Not only have many others besides myself confirmed that by the word of Yahuwah, but you also have him declaring it in code, in the Torah. Saints, we can't get out of this, so it's time to buckle up. Every house gets wind and rain. I'm going to say that again. Every house gets wind and rain. It's the houses on the rock that survive. And so I believe he's calling us to unite. I see nothing but blessing when our brethren dwell together in unity. When he says he commands the blessing, you know that there's a big difference between the world's unity and what he means. And what we're seeing is supernatural. Not only in solutions that are being provided, in terms of energy solutions, housing solutions, material solutions. Our guys are getting creative. I'm telling you, we're working hard to try to do this as affordably as we can for our members and for the friends of this ministry. Okay, I can't take care of everybody, but I'm going to do what I can, especially for members of Remnant House. That is, as far as I'm concerned, a top priority for me, and friends of this ministry and house that need shelter and want to be part of a house that is filled with people who love one another. Of course we open our door and welcome you. Of course we do. And so just understand that, we just don't have forever, and it's not even if we have the money, sometimes we can't get things. So for example, I posted this online and I talked about this. We have a particular type of construction that we were moving into, and materials disappeared. Didn't matter how much money you had. That's a very disconcerting feeling when you want to place an order. What you're used to is being able to order something, a couple weeks later it's going to show up. Not anymore. Not anymore. We placed an order we were going to place an order in January, so we would have certain building materials on site by mid-February towards March. Nope. You're looking at, if you place the order in January, you might get your order delivered in September. And again, that is not, it's not the end of, it doesn't end the matter. It's not like we can't find a way around it, but wow. So here's good news. Whoever solves that problem, so we're going to do a surplus of panels, right? So this is why we need activators. This is why we need friends. We need partners. Come on, get in this with me, and let's work this out together, because I want to tell you something. We do this and we get successful at this, which I believe we can be. We're going to make, not only are we going to have lots of structures for people and for those that need that and want to be a part of that, but we'll also help build structures wherever they need to be all over the world. Because again, as I just mentioned, there's a bit of a backlog in this area. I wonder if it isn't intentional, if you know what I mean. So one of the things that we're going to do is build panels, and not only produce them for our own needs, but supply them. And so that's why we need your help right now. We need you, whoever you are that is being tugged on, to say, hey, You know, I might want to get in on this. Listen, you don't have to give it to us. If you have the means to help, you can buy shekels. That helps us. It does the same thing in terms of providing us the resources that we need, and you get to hold on to the shekel. So if that feels better for you, then do that, but help us out. We need the help right now, and that'll allow us. We did locate OSB board, which is very difficult to find at a reasonable price. Go shopping for it right now, and you're going to go, what? Yeah. So we had to do a lot of work finding good suppliers that will hold and are holding materials for us. But again, we got to pay cash for that. So we can build the panels, but we need some help. We got the manpower to do it. We got the technique or the know-how to do it right on site. But we still need help with the capital to buy the materials so that we can get that going and not only be able to take care of structures that we're assembling now, but also provide a alternative supply source for those communities and other people that are trying to build structures quickly. And by the way, I don't know if I've talked a lot about this out here. I kind of do things and talk about them later, but this particular building style, folks, is exceptional. And one of the things that we have as a factor out here, and I don't know where you are, but just to be aware, one of the factors that you have to deal with here in our part of the world is wind. You can get gusts of 40 miles an hour, right? So, excuse me, we have to make account for that, especially in where there's big open spaces. That wind doesn't have a lot of blocks, right? Well, this particular construction type, called structural insulated panels, has impressed me in the sense that it is much better against the wind than traditional stick-built structures. So that's number one. They're also dramatically quieter. So if it is windy outside, you don't really get that inside because of the insulation, the very fact that it is structurally insulated. Every panel in that home, both interior and exterior, are all insulated. So you've got kind of that thermos effect for not only sound, but quality of air quality control and so forth. So comfort is at a premium, and it actually made it easier for us to do our construction. So that's the reason why we went in this direction, and it was partly for speed, but also partly for cost control, so that we could maintain a certain level of excellence in an affordable way in terms of materials and getting projects done efficiently. And now we're at that stage. We've got on site the talent, the skill sets, really everything we need, but that activation. So we're going to begin to pre-sell some panels. That'll also help to boost our capability. So we're going to be doing some of that here in the next week to 10 days. Obviously, we have the holy days in this process. So we're going to be sensitive as we're walking this out. But I do believe that we have to step up the pace on all these types of preparations for what may be a massive level of shaking, and I believe will be a massive level of shaking in the nations, especially as things unfold. And while there's always the macro picture and people think things are great, but what really matters is how are you doing? How is your life working? Where do you belong? And I believe a lot of you are feeling the same sense in your spirit that we have in ours, that you really want to be around your brethren. Sure, you're grateful for being able to drive over and pick up supplies here and there from different places, but you'll feel better knowing that you're around and with your brothers and sisters wherever that is. And so I know that a lot of my brethren out there are already doing this. We're being contacted by individuals or groups and even ministries wanting to band together and unite. And that's wisdom, saints, because then we get to cross supply. We also get to support one another. I know some of you are going to be facing many of the same challenges, and any of you who have been looking for supplies and materials are going, Peter is telling you the truth. It is getting rough out here. Okay, well, that's the more reason why we need to work together. We need to get moving a little quicker. Okay, I try to be really patient, and that's why I try to do as much as I can without even saying anything to anybody. And I'm only one man, and I'm doing the best I can. And I believe that as a team, as a family, we're unstoppable, but we got to work together. And that means changing our priorities. That means stop believing in a false vision of a future, an idol of a future that so many people worship, these idols of their future that are never going to happen. And there's a whole lot of people getting the reality check of what they thought it was going to be and what it actually ended up being. They're realizing it wasn't all that great. So if you're one of those that he's pulling on to get into a community, now's the time. And I get contacted from a brother out in North Carolina who's now hunting for acreage there. There's other people all over the country that are starting to or have already carved out some land where they're going to be doing some building, and that way they can be together and grow food together and share costs for energy and resources, and work together as a family, as a smaller but more tight-knit community. This has a future. This is what he meant when he said, beat your swords into plowshares. And there's that shift away from we're just going to dominate one another and world orders and all that nonsense. No, you know what we're going to do? We're going to bake bread. We're going to swing on the swings in the porch and drink our tea. And I don't know what's going on over the hill that's over there. I don't see it. That's why we don't do that many videos. That's why it's kind of like we have to stop what we're doing to go, oh yeah, I guess we better shout out to that other world. But I'm telling you right now, making the transition is getting harder. It's going to get much more expensive and much more difficult just to get the materials. So those of you that are in highly wooded areas and can get us trees to mill and can get us, low-cost lumber, help, please. I'm asking you with all humility, help us. If you are in any of the construction trades and have any resources that are involved in construction in any way, by all means, please lend us your help in getting those resources for cottages and cabins. And again, we're not building, big houses here. We're trying to get ourselves in position to whip these out, okay? And we're kind of getting there. I mean, we're at the point now that we've got a supplier ready to send us a load of OSB. All we need is someone to help us get that over the hump. You get what I'm saying? So once that happens, we're on to that next step. We need your help. And this is just where we're at. And so thank you for those that will pray about that and participate. And wherever you are, I want to encourage you to really prayerfully connect with, and it doesn't matter if it's even in the deepest city, and even in the, maybe that's all you have. Well, then you're going to connect up with other brothers and sisters right there where you are, and make sure you're covering each other. Make sure you've got alternative means of communication. Make sure that you don't lose track of one another should there be any public problems in your area. I mean, the world is shaking, and it's probably going to keep shaking, okay? And there's other things inbound, if you know what I mean, if you can read between the lines. So I just want to encourage everybody to be thinking much more with a kingdom mindset and not so much with a carnal what they want you to think about, because they want you to tie to whatever nonsense that they come up with. And this is our exit, saints. Um, he said, "Come away, come out of her, my people." And the more we see their plans and their dreams and their visions, the more we see, oh, is that where you're going? Oh, is that what you have in mind? Okay, you know what? Call me Amish, but peace out, man. Call me, whatever you want to call me. You can call us whatever names you want to call us. We're just done. We're just not going to play that. We're just not interested in going into a metaverse. Sorry. We're not interested in participating in whatever kind of world order there is. I mean, to each his own, so help yourselves. But we're just bowing out here. And we're going to go bake bread, hang out, take care of our fam bam, raise children, grandchildren. Life is simple. And so I believe that we need to get back to simple. And remember that Yahuwah Elohim has separated us in so many ways already, that if you tried to, even if you were trying to be friends with everybody, you can't. Because there's too many separators that are continuing to happen as he separates the clean, watch this now, from the unclean. He has to do that. And this is one of the things the Zadok are on the earth for, that righteousness is for, is to separate the clean from the unclean. That was in our Torah or scripture readings just this last Shabbat. And so we have to understand this reality, and we have to make provision to the best that we can. Now, there's a point at which nothing more I can do, nothing more anyone can do, and it is up to him. And some of you are in that spot right now, and this is why we need communities, because you should be able to start wherever you are. If you're at the bottom of that economic ladder and you've got literally nothing, then there should be this is why we need captains. Those captains should be able to take you from a tent to a cabin, and help you get on your feet and be a part of that team. And look, now you've solved your problem, and now you're out helping other people solve theirs. That's what the kingdom is about. Loving one another such that you care for their life. And it's going to get down to that, saints, if you haven't figured that out by now. It's literally going to become life and death. Have you seen the price of food? We've got people, I'm watching video of I think it was Marfugal, and he came into his truck. I think it was Marfugal, right? Marfugal News, right? And he came back to his truck, was empty, $100 worth of gas taken right out of his gas tank, broad daylight. This is where we're at. You think this gets better? If you read your Bible, you know this doesn't get better, so I'm not going to preach to you. For those of you that are members and are awake, this is really more for you. For the friends of this ministry who have already been going, I think I really would rather hang out with my brothers and sisters right about now. I think that is a lot more attractive to me than rolling the dice, like you're at the casino. Let's see what they come up with next month. That's got to get old. And the stress level. Wow. Checking your cortisol levels lately. Wow, the stress level. I come into a tiny town and I feel it. I can't even imagine what it must be like to live in some of these cities and to be part of these grids where beyond lights flashing, now you got waves of energy flashing by you. It's nice to not have even a tiny fraction of that. And I think it's reflected in the way people sleep. One of the manifestations we see out here is you get good night's sleeps. You really do. You get deep sleep. You get really good REM sleep. You know what I mean by that? Like that old-fashioned, Wow. Man, wow. That one? You remember those? Remember when we used to have those all the time? Do you guys remember that? Maybe some of you aren't old enough to remember when we didn't have so many what do you call it? Radio waves and nonsense running all over our brains. Now, today, you can't go anywhere but that you're bathing in radio frequencies and all kinds of who knows what, right? So now where are we going to go from here? That's the question everybody had to have. And I tried to tell everybody you better have a plan. And, most people just didn't care. But at the end of the day, and at the end of this time period, it's those who endure to the end who will be saved. And many people aren't even thinking about endurance. They thought they were getting an easy exit. And so this is why it's important right now for those that are serious to shine their light before men. So shine good works. Show forth good stuff. Make your farmers markets. Okay? Have so much surplus in food and vegetables that you create a farmer's market. And now this brings you a cash crop, if you will, for your community. So this is very smart. So every community should have a farmer's market. And this allows us to trade amongst each other too, because somebody's growing tomatoes, somebody's growing a melon. Hello, please give me some tomatoes. I'll give you some of my melons. Isn't this a wonderful thing, right? So, there's a lot of that. I mean, we have a surplus of eggs right now, or not quite. Well, we're getting to it. We're going to be there soon. To a surplus of eggs where we have more than we're using. Actually, we had some new people come, so we're using more now. So we didn't quite reach a surplus. But we're almost there, right? So what happens then? What are you going to do with these extra eggs? You can't eat them all. There's only so many you eat a day. What are you doing with them? Well, you're going to make them available to the community and sell them and what have you. In fact, we buy eggs when we're short from our neighbor, right? Who's another believer, by the way. Another farm right next door. So this is what I'm trying to say, is that you get into communities, you get into a different feel. People are supportive of one another. You have friends that are really your friends. And I know that comes in degrees, and we all understand that. We're not in heaven yet. But I do believe that when you get away from these stresses, and you get away from the pulls and the cares of this world and the deceitfulness of this fake money, which you're finding out right now just how deceitful that was, and the lust of other things which didn't matter and never did matter, never was important, and we made it important, okay? When you get away from that, that's when you find out, 30, 60, and 100-fold really is about family. It's really about being in the place he's put you and also being with your brothers and sisters, because there's nothing like it. The meals you eat, nothing like it. The sleep you sleep, nothing like it. And I can tell you that from walking throughout this earth for 58 years. So, I think that it is time for a lot of people to really consider, hey, where did I put my priorities? And maybe I need to rethink that and think about who I want to walk the next 5 years with. Like everybody that we connect, we're always talking 10 and 20-year plans. We don't talk like a season. That's not how we think. We're talking 10, 20, 30 years ahead and doing it together. And if that isn't, the way your feeling is when you're in your community or whatever, then maybe you're not in the right spot. Maybe that's something that should change. Because I think we should be. I think we should be so connected that we don't see an end. And this is the way I think the body is meant to be. I think the Greek model has failed. I think we can all come to conclusion on the model of the once a week shake your hand, barely know you model for church and discipleship is a abysmal failure in terms of creating true set apart people who are holy, as Peter said, be holy, right? So this is why I believe that we need to come to this place, and I just want to encourage you, if you can be a part of what we're doing, please do. Links in the description. Give us a call. Help us out. If you pray for us, we appreciate that. And we're thankful for all of you who continue to stand together in unity wherever you do it, whether it's here with us or with our brothers and sisters doing different things throughout the body. We do not compete. We are all in this together, and there's too many of people out there for us to any one ministry to handle anyway. So we need thousands of ministries doing this. We need thousands of camps, okay? We need them all over. So we need to get going. Thank you, saints. I got to run in here and help Mama. I'll talk to you soon. May Yahuwah bless each and every one of you. And remember, Yahushua HaMashiach, He alone is King of Kings.